To further understand oneself and face one's true inner emotions, many people will actually feel that they have become strangers to themselves because it subverts their past self-knowledge and presents an entirely different image. I once argued with a stranger on the street when I was still single. I can't quite remember what we were arguing about, but after venting my anger, I felt disgusted with myself and thought I was embarrassing and pathetic. I was consumed by a deep sense of guilt for a long time, wondering why I acted that way. Couldn't I have expressed myself more calmly? I kept blaming myself. It was okay for me to be angry at home, but I couldn't accept the version of myself that loudly argued with someone on the street. This incident made me feel very uncomfortable. Unlocking the knots in one's heart is not an easy task. Arguing with someone on the street has troubled me for a long time. To me, it was like a stain on my life, and I was afraid that others would find out that I could also argue with someone like that. For several years, I tried to hide that part of myself, not wanting others to discover it. Despite my efforts to hide it, I couldn't help but be seen by others when I got angry. Every time I finished venting, I wanted to find a hole to hide in, regretting deeply in my heart. But at the time, I didn't know where the problem lay. It wasn't until I underwent psychological counseling later that I learned why I was so miserable. I had divided myself into two parts. One was rational and tolerant, while the other was ignorant and rude to others. The ignorant and rude part of me was controlled by my wild side and became very aggressive if I felt I was being violated, no matter where I was. Although I allowed myself to have this image at home, I controlled it well in front of others. I hoped that I could always present a rational and gentle image in front of others, but I completely lost that image when I argued with a stranger on the street. At first, I found it difficult to accept this version of myself, and my heart was very resistant because I wanted to be a rational and tolerant person. After several years of inner struggle, I finally accepted this version of myself, whether it was the irrational and argumentative me on the street or the rational and gentle me. Even though it wasn't the ideal version of myself that I had in my mind, it was still a different version of me. After I started on the path of psychological counseling, I realized why this issue caused me so much pain. It was because of fear. I was afraid that if others found out that I was that type of person, they would hate and criticize me. I fell into self-doubt and didn't want others to discover this side of me. These painful feelings are the price I have to pay for not being honest with myself. What has happened cannot be changed. The past cannot be changed, and no matter how much we try to conceal it, it will not disappear. This approach is destined to fail. It is natural to feel ashamed or embarrassed about past mistakes, but it is important to realize that dwelling on them will not change what has already happened. Instead of trying to conceal or erase the past, we should focus on learning from our mistakes and using those lessons to move forward. We should also strive to be more accepting of ourselves and others, understanding that imperfection is a part of the human experience. By doing so, we can let go of our fear and shame and embrace a more positive and fulfilling future.